Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas. Today I have with me Andre Symes, Group CEO at Genasys.
I,
That's Genasys, because I feel like I keep pronouncing it Genesis. I don't know if it's the correct pronunciation. So, Andre,
it
thank you
is.
for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Tony, for having me. It is actually pronounced Genesis, and it was short for generating a system.
Uh, that's fantastic. Okay. Love that. Love that. Uh, how are you today?
Absolutely fantastic. I'm actually in the southwest of England today. As you can see, I'm wearing a jacket because it's rather cold out here. We unfortunately missed some of the good weather here last week.
I am in my home base of Atlanta, and it's been a while since I've recorded a podcast here. It feels like I've been on the road a lot. So recorded a lot of podcasts, kind of in not fantastic situations. So I'm so glad to be in my home studio where
It's
things actually
the
work.
life
And
of
a
the life
nice,
of a digital nomad.
exactly, nice microphone lighting. It's great. All right. So we're recording early October. You did mention it's a little chilly, but probably not quite snowy, just
Not, not,
chilly.
not yet. Not yet. Let's hope that there comes some snow will come during the festive season. It always makes it a little bit more bearable when you don't have much light in the UK. But no snow just yet.
All right. So we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Genesis?
Yo, that's a good question. So, simply put, Genasys is a purpose-led software technology organization that is building out policy and claims admin technology to serve the mid-markets, from quote and bind all the way through to claims fulfillment. And our purpose is to bring tier one level technology through to the mid-market players.
Okay. Okay. So in this case, when you say mid market, you don't mean middle market commercial lines business like we're always talking about in the States. You mean like the mid-size insurance firms.
That's right. So it's the middle tiering. So I think there's a terminology difference there. Yeah. So I mean, what we found is that there are a couple of really good technology firms, big players that serve the tier one and the tier two P&C markets, with some really good technology. That technology hasn't been able to have been filtered down to the 50 to 500 million US dollar GWP organizations just yet. And many of them struggle with the price points of buying some of the big players. So they've got this conundrum. Do we go buy a Neopass, some of these new moms and pop shops that have popped up in the last 10 years or so? Or do we kind of save up and try and capitalize a multi-million dollar project buying some of the big players? And we are perfectly positioned to serve that market, to give them something robust end to end, but at a more acceptable price point.
Okay, fantastic. So you are headquartered in the UK. Are you focused on the UK and the US, or what are the target markets that where you serve carriers and MGAs?
So Genesis was born in South Africa 25 years ago.
Okay.
Um, and then about 5 years ago, so we started doing really well there. We had to build out a policy admin system, out of necessity, to serve the broker markets, the MGA markets, and the insurer markets. And we were family owned for a very long time, so we had to build for everybody. But we started getting quite a bit of traction there, and the company grew from strength to strength. And then about 6 years ago, Craig Ulifield and myself decided that we needed to convince the original founders and shareholders to explore the UK markets. We then came across to the UK, where there was a very big need for agile platforms. I think that some of the incumbents were very relaxed and comfortable in their positions, and the challenger brand came along, and we found some really good traction in the UK. And off of the back of that, through some M&A activity, we actually ended up serving a customer out in the US too. So we've got customers in the US, we've got customers in the UK and in the African space, but predominantly we focus our attention on the UK and the African markets. Obviously, through the success that we found with our customers in the US, pipeline is filling out there. But right now is probably a better time to focus on the markets that you do really well at, stay within your lane, just build a sustainable, profitable business. That's our goal. We aren't in the business of raising huge amounts of capital to go and explore territories for the sake of it. We still founder managed. It's our brand and our names on the door, so we want to ensure that we succeed in what we do. So we've got a slightly more cautious approach to a world domination through a multi-billion pound valuation that we've seen some other people try and do.
All right. So UK heavy. Okay. So okay. So within the UK space, um, I'm assuming a large part of the market is those middle size firms.
Yeah, it's quite a big market segment. I mean, depending on how you kind of want to divvy it up, there's several hundred players in that particular space across the MG and the insurer and the placement broker space, or the verticals at least. There's also a substantial amount of tier two and tier one insurers in the UK. But they're running multi-billion pound books of business on monolithic legacy technologies. And to try and disrupt that particular market, none of them are going to move 5 billion pounds of GWP across to, 120 FTE organization that is, just fresh out of Africa or South Africa into the UK. So we found our niche, and that is the mid markets. They can come to us. We can stand them up very quickly. We can do the migrations for them rather seamlessly. And we started ticking the boxes, and that gives them the competitive advantage to compete against the bigger players and organically grow, or through M&A activity, bring additional books of business to grow themselves into a tier two or tier one.
Okay, yeah, tell me about that implementation. Uh, what so here in my home market of the US, uh, a lot of what we would call regional and super regional carriers, are running on uh homemade systems from basically the 90s.
Yeah.
And sometimes, IBM servers in the background running Fortran and COBOL. Uh, Generally, the middle market clients in the UK, what are they running before they move to Genesis, and what is that transformation, what that implementation like?
Yeah, it's actually there's a plethora of different kind of sources when we start doing these migrations. So the UK is slightly ahead of some of the other European territories. So most of them are at least on something like an AS400. So we do bump into the occasional mainframe, but that they still exist there. I mean, there's that joke that the entire financial services industry is kind of held up by a Jenga blocks of Excel spreadsheets, and that's the case. So we've often seen some homegrown systems that are backed by Excel or some simple databases, but the majority of them are on AS400 COBOL-esque type of systems, and they're looking to future-proof themselves. They're understanding that those are end-of-life technologies. Support for those technologies are no longer there. And also, I think what was really nice by a couple of the US firms, people like Lemonade, really made some of these firms stand up and go, we have to start doing something different as our customers, the policy buyers, how they are starting to demand a change in the buying process and kind of the customer experience when it comes to insurance. Long gone are the days where you send your policy holder one document once a year for renewal. There has to be continuous engagement. The customers are demanding good CX. They're demanding good service. They're demanding good quick claims payment terms. And that's why they're starting to move across. And the old technologies, whilst they are stable and they're running the business as well, they simply can't adapt fast enough to the new emerging technologies. You try and bring something AI into an AS400 system, you're talking many million pounds of effort.
Okay, so out of the box modern software, basically, much faster implementation, uh, much more at a price point that makes sense for those smaller organizations. Um, and when we chatted before recording, you had mentioned that the platform is a single code base. Um,
Yeah,
so so
that's
what
exactly it.
so what do you mean by that, and what's the advantage of that?
Well, the advantage is that there's a lower cost to serve, right? And then those kinds of costs, the cost to serve savings are passed down to our customers. And this is why we can bring the price point down. So to be very clear, we've got a single core of the platform that we deploy in various different ways in multi-tenanted environments. If there are customers that want to share instances or conglomerates that want to have a centralized hosting for multiple different territories, or we can deploy to private cloud, as most of our customers actually want, so that they can kind of retain their data for themselves. But really importantly, on this core is that we've got an extremely configurable layer for the platform. So we've got like a product painter, it's a no-code product painter that we use to build products, but it comes pre-configured with 350 products. So we don't just sit in front of a customer and say, what do you want? We go, you want to do pet insurance? Well, great. Let's pull up our vanilla pet product. And then we start iteratively changing it through kind of an agile process to start ticking the customer's boxes. So you're already starting with something. There's standard reports that come out that all insurers need, all bordereaux, etc. If you're writing back into Lloyd's, you need Lloyd's standard bordereaux. There's workflows that are pre-configured. There's claims processes that are pre-configured. So it's kind of, we put something down and then start molding it to what you want it to do. And that implementation approach drives down the time to implement too. So where traditionally you will talk about a 2 to 3 year transformation program, we've transformed companies in 6 weeks, for a single product. And I think we did an implementation a couple of years back where we did 58 commercial products and 5 data migrations in less than a year. And that is because you got this out of the box functionality and there's something there already. You don't just start with a clean spreadsheet and go, right, let's try and reinvent the wheel when we already know how most of it works.
Okay, so to a non-technical user like myself, it sounds like a lot of the building is templated.
It's exactly that. It's templated, and then through different kinds of user interfaces and tooling that we've built, we actually speak to the business unit directly. So there's no need for us to write up technical specifications, etc. So we removed a whole bunch of steps in the standard implementation process that you no longer require. So if you head of claims at an insurer, we'll sit with you and go, how do you want your claims to operate? This is the workflow we've currently built. These are the course codes we have for your products, etc. Now let's start changing it to optimize that. And also always specifically speaking to the business unit owners about what are their objectives for the implementation. Are you trying to drive down claims costs? Are you trying to drive down claims service time? What areas do we want to automate? Where do you want to insert automation? Or where do you want to insert human interface? I mean, this is one of the big things that the technology providers often don't like talking about, is that myself, like if I have a claim, I like speaking to someone about it. It's all good and well getting a text message or having a portal where I can self-serve, but sometimes when you've had a big loss, it's an emotional event, and you just want to talk to an agent on the line and go, what's happening with my claim? A little bit of reassurance. And so we can build all of these little areas in, and then that's how we start bespoking it for all the different customers. So while there's a single code base, not a single one of our customers actually operates or look as like any other one.
Okay. The building products with no code or with low code, super attractive, for sure, makes it so much easier. What are the clients saying? What kind of feedback do you get from the clients? And from our perspective, feel free to use client names if you want to. If you can't, that's fine.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting conversation, that, right? Because I think that we have to be honest about it, is that a lot of the no code kind of technologies that emerged during the insurtech boom was a bunch of BS, to be honest, because people built no-code tooling not for their customers, but because it made their businesses attractive from a VC or PE point of view. Because you had this whole notion about going, why don't we push this unattractive implementations revenues onto the customer? They can self-serve, and we can only be a software vendor. Customers build their own products, they maintain their own products, etc. That hasn't really materialized. The difference is that we actually built our no-code and low-code tooling for ourselves to implement with the customers. So we still come as the technology experts, but we just decided that it was the existing process of doing a discovery phase, writing out a business specification, giving that to the technical team to write a technical spec, and then you go off and you build a bunch of code, and then you show the customer what you've built, and they go, no, that wasn't what I was asking for. We thought, why try and optimize a process that shouldn't work? So we built our no-code tooling for ourselves to use so that we could give the customers better and quicker service. So it does work well. The challenge that you've got is that you can't only be no code. Think about it like Lego blocks. If you have a bunch of standard Lego blocks, you can never actually build something very unique. So you have, like, if you want to build a Death Star, there's some bespoke bits that you need to make it look like a proper Death Star rather than this big blob. So therefore, you have to also incorporate some coding because some customers want something unique that you might not have built for, out of a standard box. So we allowed no-code building, or we build no-code tooling or no-code products, and then we use a bit of low-code to completely customize it for our customer. Having said that, some of our customers who do have the desire to do these things or themselves have gone, and we've given them access to this tooling. So they're welcome to use it. We just found the adoption lower than many of our competitors kind of pitched to their VCs they would be. So we've got a customer out in South Africa who, during the COVID lockdown, as an example, whilst everybody else was kind of retracting, battening down their hatches for this very uncertain period, they would lent into it. They went, why the hell don't we just launch a pandemic-specific parametric product? And we got a phone call the one day saying, we've built this thing ourselves, and they did it in 7 days. We just need to push the button on go live. So a week into lockdown, they had built a product to serve the lockdown. And it was absolutely incredible for them. They could pivot so quickly and lean into a bad time for the insurers. And they actually grew during lockdown rather than, contracted like most other insurers.
That is incredible. The sheer idea of launching a product in a week uh, in insurance seems sci-fi.
It is sci-fi. And look, there was at one stage, there was this whole kind of like with the price comparison sites, right? There was this race to the bottom between the technology vendors. Who could build the product the quickest? And let's be honest, building a greenfield product in a week isn't hard. Craig and myself, my CTO and I, on a flight across from Cape Town to London the one day, we were pitching to a bicycle insurer. We built a bicycle product on the plane. We're using BA Wi-Fi, and when we landed, we had built it. So building a product greenfield is easy. It gets a little bit more challenging when you have to build something that is going to be migrated to, so brownfield implementation. So it's always good to make sure that when a vendor says we can build a product in 7 weeks, make sure you ask the question, is it a greenfield product or are we replacing an existing product? So that becomes a little bit more challenging.
Okay. Um, what is coming down the pipeline that you can already talk about? What are you excited about for the last quarter of 2024 and 2025?
Well, we recently launched the new version of our product. So we've been running a system called Sky for a number of years, which was a Delphi interface, and we've now obviously moved fully cloud. And what is really exciting is that our customers are all wanting to upgrade. Well, when I say all, 80% of them are currently on an upgrade path. So there's a lot more adoption than we anticipated from our existing customer base than what we were planning for. So what's quite exciting is getting them up and running on the new version. And we've also got a couple of in-flight projects and some more opportunities in parametric and a whole coming out of the US, to be honest. So we're starting to see the US adopting and starting to believe in this technology a bit more. So yeah, the exciting part is obviously making sure that our existing customers gets all the benefits of moving to our unified platform, which has got now more than 500 API endpoints from quote and bind through to claims fulfillment. And that gives them hyperconnectivity to anything in the ecosystem that they want. So they want to adopt AI to enhance claims experiences. Boom, there's an API for that. You want to do something on pricing, there's an API for that. You want to do auto MTAs, talking to a chatbot, well, we can do that as well if you want to. So that's super exciting. And then once we've got a couple of the unified platforms up and running, I think it's going to start really revolutionizing how the mid-markets can go after the tier one's business.
All right. So it it should allow the middle-sized companies to um, be much more nimble, which they have the advantage of size,
Yep.
but having the right tech tool set that is that historically hadn't made it down to the affordability level that made sense for them.
Absolutely. So our approach is, instead of trying to build everything for everybody, is that we are really good at quote and bind, policy admin, billing, claims, document management, and data warehousing. That's kind of like the core insurance bits. What we also saw during the insurtech boom was hundreds of best of breed kind of peripheral or targeted services standing up. And we took the approach of, well, instead of us trying to predict which are the ones that are going to be adopted, let's rather give our customers the optionality. So that's why we went and invested so much in opening up our dynamic API base, because then a customer can go, well, let's trial this technology that's emerged, this new Silicon Valley AI. Let's go see what's happening with that. If it doesn't work, you decouple it and you plug something else in. So we effectively decided that if you give customers optionality and you can plug in and plug our technologies as they emerge or fail, because they are inevitably going to fail, at a very low cost point and a low barrier for connectivity, that gives them the agility to challenge the bigger brands. So that's what happens when you implement the Genasys platform, is that number one, that the core is future proof from a technology point of view, but also the world's your oyster. You go to ITC Vegas and you meet three people that have built some really cool tech. Well, plug them in. It'll take a couple of days because the APIs already exist. If it helps you, but lower your loss ratio, improve your customer experience, great. If it doesn't, turn it off again.
Okay, so it should enable the very core of your system. It replaces the very core of your system and enables it to be incredibly modular with the InsurTech revolution and all of the specialized tools that we're seeing come out.
It's exactly that. It's exactly that. And I mean, an insurer's IP isn't necessarily always in their product. It could also be in which types of technologies they've coupled together. I mean, that's kind of like the Uber model, right? Uber didn't do anything special except for take a couple of pre-existing technologies, configure them in a new way, and all of a sudden there was this Uber moment in the taxi industry. And it's sooner or later that's going to happen in the insurance space. Someone's going to go, if I use a little bit of this technology and a little bit of this over here on the quote and bind, and I do this over here, but I still have a human element there, that might just become the next big thing. So there's like these IP through options, through what technology you've plugged together.
All right, but very interesting stuff. I've chatted with several kind of core systems providers, and I don't think I can't remember any that made quite this good of a case as to why the way they're doing it makes great sense as we continue moving forward with extremely fast technological change.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think the difference is that we aren't in a position where we've taken on a lot of investment, right? So we're a profitable organization that runs under its own operating income, which gives us the room to try and do things differently. So while everybody else is trying to land grab customers, build technology themselves, and retain as much revenue in-house as possible to satisfy their shareholder pressures, we've got a slightly different model. We can go, look, where do we think things are going to be? How can we actually make a difference to our customers and keep them happy, without having to push the boundaries of the business development team? And that's actually been really good for business too, because I think the average customer they stay on the Genasys platform for an average between 8 and 9 years, which is an extremely long, obviously a customer life cycle for us. But it's because we have this ability to go, let's swim upstream. What is everybody else doing? Well, where's their blind spots? And we can maneuver ourselves into that. So we've always been a challenger brand. We do things differently. We mostly do our own implementations. We make sure that we look after the customers almost in a private banking kind of way, because we've got a reputation at stake. We founder managed. So yeah, so we do things differently than most other people. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But unfortunately, we're very privileged to have that flexibility.
Excellent. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. Very, very, very interesting stuff. Uh, and look forward to see you guys continue to grow.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the US later this year, hopefully.
Are you coming down to ITC next week?
Maybe.
Okay, I'll be running around with a top hat. I'm very easy to find, so
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I've seen you running around New York before. So if I see you, I'll catch you.
perfect. Otherwise, I'll see you at ITI in the spring in New York.
Excellent. Thanks for your
Excellent.
time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time.